Good afternoon, everyone. It's really great to see you all here. I hope you've enjoyed the show so far.
Yes!
Excellent. Now comes the boring bit. No, I was just saying, what if I've got to say is not of interest to anyone? And I was told that's all right because there's a salted fruit at the back that you can purchase and to throw at me. So, raspberries, acorns, apricots.
Apples.
Who said that? That's the only joke I've got not written down here. So, please forgive me, but this time I'm going to read what I've got to say. Normally I would just look at you and talk to you, but today we've got some announcements and I'd rather like to make sure that I stick to my script and I give you all the right information. You may know some of the announcements that have gone out this week. We hope that we've encouraged a lot of people to come to the show. So, first announcement, RISC OS Developments has bought Castle Technology and all the IP that it holds. Our second large announcement, RISC OS is going open source and will be available this weekend. And I believe that was at about 17 minutes past 11 o'clock last night. So all the licensing now reflects the fact that RISC OS is open source. What are the benefits of going open source? We see the following as the main points of that. The first one being a much greater exposure of our favourite operating system to the whole wide world. The whole lot. With this exposure, it should give us the ability for anyone and any company who sees it to use the software within the Apache 2 license. This removes the restrictions which we've had in the past for commercial enterprises. Programmers were confused by a license that was unfamiliar and seemed to allow Castle to charge for their work. It was seen as controlling and complex. Also, any company seriously thinking about deploying the OS faced up to fees per box shipped and had to feed back the code to the repository for the benefit of users, but also competitors. Not really enticing to commercial companies and enterprises. We want to see the collaboration and sharing that exists in the open source world now be applied to RISC OS, so that there will be over time more software and improvements to it, especially to what we have here and now today. What we have, we all know, is a fast and, to quote someone, close to the metal performing operating system that we want to see get even better and even faster. Maybe be able to jump tall buildings in a single bound. A Superman operating system, as you might say. All of this and many more benefits that we possibly can't foresee at the moment will be down to the open sourcing of RISC OS. One of the benefits I've already mentioned is a wider audience. And we've already seen the results of this. The CEO of a Taiwanese company has, over the last week, been insisting and asking for a copy of RISC OS. And he's also provided hardware to developers in the UK. So this is something that has already happened, which is absolutely fantastic as far as we can see. I've lost my place. Andrew Rawnsley will have an announcement to make about that, and he'll also show you the results. His section follows mine, so I guess none of you will be moving for the next hour or so. RISC OS Developments unlike any company since Acorn's heyday, have engaged the services of a marketing specialist, Marketing by P. And this has allowed us to reach outside of our normal community here and engage with worldwide organisations. I was told earlier in the week and given the URL to the announcement, and it's available on Chinese news sites. So I think this is really worldwide. I expect that the opportunities to do this again will present themselves in the future, and we will proactively try to continue to make these things happen. As RISC OS Developments, we feel that we are both looking after and promoting RISC OS as it is now, and will be, and going forwards. If anyone here has an opportunity for me to be able to do this, or any ideas, I'll be here for the rest of today. Come and see me, and we can arrange, and we can talk, and we can meet. What I'd like to do now is turn to another major project within RISC OS Developments. If you attended last year's show, you'll know that I spoke about a project, but not what it was exactly. We have raised a considerable and very reasonable amount of money with which we wanted to employ at real world rates one or a team of programmers to enable us to deliver that project. The very important reason we didn't disclose the project was, as with many things like this, announcing something before you can deliver it causes pressure on the development team, and if you have commercial competitors, can cause them to launch that project before us or at the same time. Like Castle before us and Arcomp, we don't like to disappoint our customers by failing to deliver. We're only too painfully aware that this has happened on more than one occasion in the RISC OS world in the past. I hope that explains our reticence to do and to tell you what that was. I'm sorry for the long explanation, but we really wanted you to hear this, and I hope understand why we said nothing. However, in light of the announcement that I've just made about open sourcing, we would like to include all of you here in what our project is all about. RISC OS Developments as a company was founded upon three pillars. First, and perhaps most significantly, we aim to produce an up-to-date and capable web browser. So that's what our Quiet project was all about. We feel that it is a priority issue, because without it, RISC OS really can never compete on equal terms with today's other modern OSs. Our second and third pillars support this, to invest in and to develop RISC OS, both in support of the browser and for the improvement of RISC OS generally. Finally, we acknowledge that we need to see improvements to the development tools. And this is very obvious when tackling projects, especially large projects like the browser. So we also seek to facilitate development in this area too. With these goals, we want to achieve growth in the RISC OS community and further afield. As a company, we feel we are ideally placed to tackle larger elements and projects within and for the RISC OS market. But all of this can really only be done with continued support from investors both large and small. As many of you will know, I've been involved with browsers in the past, and I am very aware of some of the pitfalls that we could and have encountered. Before we gathered in all of our funds last year, the main comment of programmers has been but RISC OS does not pay standard rates for work done. So we gathered what we felt was enough money from the investors in RISC OS Developments, who I'm going to say right now, thank you for trusting us and giving us the money to do this project. But in an amazing turn of events, we have offered this money, and for various reasons, none of which are related to not enough money. That's a very important point. We have enough money. We've had programmers refuse to do the work or say that they will do it, and then they've let us down when we've tried to employ them. There are still options that we're exploring, so in no way have we given up. We will continue to go down and explore various avenues until we can complete this project. I'd also like to bring you up to date on the SSL work. Now, this was funded partly by RISC OS Developments with RULE. It's now reached its 4th beta, and after much discussion appears to meet with most people's approval. If you look around the hall today, you will find several developers already taking advantage of it. The uptake of this should increase once it is out of beta, which we hope will be very soon. This is a modern implementation. If you want the full specifications, please have a word with Andrew, because he's much better suited to chat to you on talking tech. You know that I get easily confused and I'm not a programmer. For our investors here in the room today, I really want to make this very clear. We have worked in trying to get this browser sorted on a money for results basis. So the only thing that we spent on doing this is the director's time, and we have invested a fair amount into this. Questions have been asked about the money that RISC OS Developments will have paid for Castle. Let me state very clearly now for you that these funds came from myself and Andrew and 2 of our partners. So again, this has not touched the amount of money that we raised for the browser. That money is still there and is still able to do that job. We will be giving you updates on our newly built and still to be added to website, which I hope you may have seen now, riscosdev.com. We hope over the coming months that we'll be able to push the work forward. If anyone wants to add to the funds, please see or contact me here today, or either Andrew or myself, any time after the middle of next week. Give us a day or 2 to recover. We will be announcing later on, over the next few months, a way to donate money on a regular basis and smaller amounts, which is something we've previously not done. That's all I'm going to say about RISC OS Developments today. Just a very short paragraph, and I promise it's a lot shorter than what I've just done on Orpheus and Genesis, which is my company. A few months ago, we ran a small crowdfunding operation, and I'm very pleased to say that the response was overwhelming. So the project that we have as Orpheus is to build ourselves a small hosting unit. We've already had the office that we were able to secure, and that project is now underway. The ground's been cleared all around the building. I'll be posting updates as they go on. We're just waiting for the electricity board to come back to us to relieve us of some more money to put the power supply in. So my many thanks to anyone here who would have helped us with that. I'll be happy to take any comments or any questions that you might have. Neil.
When you say all the IT, including all the electronic design, like the IOS,
Everything that is assigned to Castle Technology directly, we have. I haven't been able to spend the time necessary to actually go through it to see exactly what we've got. Our main concentration, of course, was on a thick document about this size, with lots of notes that was the agreement between Pace and Castle. I still have contact with John Balance. He does work for us sometimes, so I'll need to go through with him. We haven't had the final accounts handover, so at that point we'll have a meeting and I'll find out if there's anything else that would be of interest. That's right. But all of their office now resides in my office, so it's all safe and sound and locked up very carefully. Bernard?
Richard, when you talk about people funding, are you talking about funding the company or funding the browser project, or both separately?
The main aim of RISC OS Developments is to do this browser, so any money that we accept in is primarily going to be spent on the browser. However, as I said, the other parts of the company are to support RISC OS itself. We will do things in conjunction with RUL. We've already had, I think it's 3 face-to-face meetings and various email conversations going on about various bits and pieces. They are very, I would say, reinvigorated and excited. You can imagine from their point of view, they have been looking after RISC OS for, must be getting on for 10 years now. Enthusiasm can wane when you're just ticking over, when you're just doing something. And certainly the response that I've had when I've been chatting to Steve and Ben and the other guys who do a really good job on behalf of all of us, they're really up for it and they want to see things done. So some of the money, if somebody says to us, well, I don't want it spent on the browser project, I want to see it spent on RISC OS, then fine, we'll take a note of that and make certain that money goes in that direction rather than that one. But RISC OS Developments really is just, if you like, we'll look after the funds and try to spend them wisely. So.
Any sort of thoughts on why programmers are not so interested in developing the browser?
Most probably be best to talk to Andrew. I'm not sure why. Maybe they felt that working on a browser for an operating system that was very small, was self-contained, all of the things that are hitched in when you have a license did not appeal to them. Lack of expertise, I don't know. Andrew, he's my main hardware and technical person, so it's usually himself that has conversations with the programmers. I know that if we can't employ one programmer to do the job, we would be happy to have a team of programmers to do the job. Maybe we haven't made that clear when we've been chatting with them, and they felt that we were asking, individually. And when you have a project like that, it can take a year. It can take a year of your life to do that. But it was just a general comment to the programmers. We really, really want any help. So if somebody knows somebody who knows somebody, get us in contact with them and we'll chat to them, and we will do our best to be as flexible and as helpful so we can get the browser done. Because it is so important to RISC OS. If you get a new computer, if you get a new phone, apart from checking your email or possibly downloading an app which is going to go on the internet, you've got the various social media things, but the next thing has got to be, I'm going to do my shopping at Tesco's, I want to buy something from Amazon. We need this browser. It is so, so important.
What is the problem with taking one of the browsers that already exists for several different OSs, like Firefox, and making a RISC OS implementation of that?
Technically, I can't answer your question. We've looked at various ways of doing this browser. That is, let's write it from scratch. That takes an awful lot of time and an awful lot of effort, and even the funds that we have might not stretch to 3 years' worth of salary for a competent programmer to do that. Then there's the option of taking, that we released the Otter browser with a RISC OS front end, so that support that's coming across. But that has time and investment to work on it to make it a better quality browser than it is now. And we're looking forwards and saying, well, if we are going to do something like that, then it really needs to be on a port that is current. The Otter browser is based on WebKit, but that version of WebKit, unfortunately, is already deprecated. It's not going to go any further forward apart from minor tweaks. So, although that would be a lovely candidate to spend time and money on, that may not be quite so suitable. I'd like to see it based on something that is current. And we've got other ideas as well that we're talking to people. Somebody mentioned one to me last night that would be very interesting. But we haven't investigated that, so I won't say anything quite yet. I'll save that for maybe the next show down in the southwest, if I can encourage you all to come down there to Arnos Manor Hotel, which is going to be a new venue for you all to enjoy. Dave?
When you can get the browser to a satisfactory state, you can circulate the version. Will you be charging for it?
No.
I'm thinking that if you don't charge for it, you know, you're depriving yourself of a source of money.
At the moment, as far as we are concerned, we want to produce this and make it available to all of you. And, for instance, Raspberry Pi Foundation has got a new version of RISC OS that went up this week. It's on Noobs. It works with the Raspberry Pi 3. So, a few 100,000, or are we up to 1 million or more of Raspberry Pis? They only pay £30 for a Raspberry Pi. To pay £40 for a web browser for RISC OS, there's an inequality there. It doesn't work very well. So I appreciate what you're saying, and yes, it would be nice to have more money coming in, but the whole aim of this was to do it for free. That's a decision that Andrew and I have made. I don't think you'll get us to change our minds, but we'll always talk to someone. Gentlemen, sorry.
Same thing on that one. I am an investor in the company, and I was not an investor had we not offered that browser for free.
There we are. There's one of our investors. Thank you, John. Gentleman at the back.
In terms of the browser and difficulty in getting programmers, have you not thought about investing in NetSurf and further developing that to be the browser, which everybody's looking for? Yeah, that has certainly been considered. There are various issues with how NetSurf is handled and how it goes on. It's been discussed quite heavily, but that's not one of our best areas that really we would feel comfortable doing that. If you want a slightly more technical one, again, have a word with Andrew, have a word with Steve Revel and Ben on the rule stand. So, sorry. Yes.
You mentioned the Raspberry Pi Foundation. Mm-hmm. Have you had any conversation with them since you got the IP?
We've had not myself directly, Steve Revel at Rule on our behalf, because one of the Rule guys actually works within the Raspberry Pi Foundation. And the feedback that I was given last night is Eben is really enthused about RISC OS again. So that's a good thing.
If it goes completely open source, there's nothing to stop it forking again or becoming multiple distributions like Linux?
Nothing at all.
My question is about any liabilities which Castle had. I know you've got the IP to RISC OS, but are you also liable for any liabilities which they had from their other businesses which they were running?
We have done as much due diligence as we possibly can, and we are fairly well satisfied that Andrew and I are not setting ourselves up to be sued. And, Mr. Trump doesn't appear to be upset with Castle Technology. Steve?
You've moved the development now to a much more open source model, which is to be applauded. Rule was originally set up to sort of manage the slight fight with the Castle license. Now that we've gone to a true open source license, are you going to revisit things like, for example, putting it on Git and using GitHub? Or is the plan that the development will continue to go through RISC OS Open and will be under the old version control system?
At the moment, it will stay exactly as it is, purely because this has only happened today. But you mentioned GitHub. There is another.
Bitbucket.
Didn't quite catch that. GitLab, I believe, is the other one, and that's something that we're in discussion with Raul about. I don't want to talk too much, just in case I'm pitching anything that Steve's talking about. That's most probably a good question to ask Raul when they do their talk in a few minutes.
There's obviously quite a range of RISC OS-based machines being used now. Some people still using RISC PCs. Obviously the Raspberry Pi and the more modern ones. There's something quite CPU intensive as a web browser. What sort of base spec are you targeting? Because obviously trying to get it to run on a 200 megahertz strong ARM, bit of a push. So have you?
Yes.
How are you sort of targeting this is what it needs to be acceptable
We've considered, Andrew has beaten me over the head on a few occasions. We've had interesting conversations. I will put my foot in it now. We will not support the Ionics, we will not support the RISC PC. It will be for modern, going forwards, RISC OS machines. Just from a developer's and a hardware point of view, now, you know as Orpheus Internet, I don't sell anything that actually exists. It's the internet. Arcomp, on the other hand, and I worked well with Andrew on getting the IMX6. I was the person they gave it to and said, right, now be a numpty user and break it. And I did on a few occasions, so I'm obviously fairly good at doing something apart from my normal day job. But these machines, we need to sell them. We need to sell them to the people in this room because you support us, but we need to sell them hopefully outside of that. This is where you've got the Raspberry Pi coming in, so really anything that is being developed now should be developed for these current machines and machines going forwards. I still have lots of RISC PCs sitting in my office. I look at them, I have a lovely emotional attachment to them, but let's be practical. If I'm going on the internet, a 200 megahertz RISC PC is not the machine to do it with. It's gone fast, yes. Thank you ever so much. I don't know, it doesn't exist yet. When it does, it may well run on an old piece of hardware, but whether that would be satisfactory, you know, we're not concerned, and we won't spend time going, oh, there's a glitch on an Ionics, let's see if we can fix it.
It's still in question time.
You can, yes.
It's your emblem in the bottom right-hand corner. Some people are commenting on the emblem. And when I looked at it, I couldn't make much sense. I don't know why 5 of the teeth are white on that shield. And green and blue, unless it's
I hadn't thought of that one, but
I mean, you know, what does it mean? Well, 3 of the cogs are sort of displaced on the right-hand corner, bottom right-hand corner. Well, what does it do? Is it trying to signal something?
not particularly. We desperately needed a logo for the show. This became available at the beginning of the week. My thanks to Richard Hallis for doing that. He helped design this because he was redoing the rather nice Raspberry Pi splash screen you've got here. He most probably has some thoughts on it. When I saw it, what I felt was, here we have different things going forward into the future, and they're being brought back into the rest of the cog. I've had other people apparently tell me that they're really disturbed that these cogs are leaving the RISC OS outside. So it's an interpretation. No, it's one cog after another, thank you. But no, it doesn't mean anything specific. We just felt that it tied in Castle's shield, and you've got the cog there as well, which everybody nowadays seems to see.
I just hope he does something better, that's all.
Well, I think we'll most probably stick with that for the time being. Oh, for their flash. I hope they're not going to sue me. Oh,
The original BBC line. Red, green and blue were the three British regions. Red for Wales, green for Northern Ireland and blue for Scotland. They stuck that under the BBC logo, and that was why the BBC adopted it, to prove they worked all over the UK. I say this as an ex-BBC employee. I learned all thought about it. To accompany that logo, there was a book that thick on how to use it. Now the best bit about that, and I have no shame in telling you this, it was absolutely essential that the logo was on the top right-hand corner of a page, specified in millimetres how much into the edge and all the rest of it. Beautiful design specification. When the book was issued to all departments, it came with a compliment slip from the Director General. The logo was dead central. You remember that, Bernard?
For my time. We don't have that worry. RISC OS Developments logo is only going to be used by ourselves.
I'm sorry?
Pantone colours as well.
Oh yes, and Pantone colours. They even started to specify Pantone colours for vehicle spraying. Yeah. Car bodybuilders didn't know what Pantone colours were. Right. There you are.
Also, three primary colours when dealing with the video as well.
Yes, yeah. I have been told that the green on there is the proper acorn green. So if that helps anyone feel better about it.
No, I wasn't being because our council wanted it, because I wanted it, because I had a forestry officer who was there, wanted to use the council logo, and they were very strict over Pantone colours for their...
Yes, oh yeah, the companies often
for their colours. Not that I didn't use it in the end, but I was very strict over the Pantone colours.
Well, we don't have any obligations. That one was just designed for us, and in lieu of we didn't have anything better at the time available. We thought that looked quite nice, but obviously it's a good talking point. It's got you energised. So